quick video. Now today finds on quite a bright morning, but still quite chilly, hence I've got a bit of a peak on, a slightly warmer hat. But what I want to have a chat to you about today is essentially why I enjoy the sort of photography that I do. You do tend to get a lot of people that are almost sort of forced into, you've got to do the landscape side, you've got to do wildlife. Yeah, I try and mix it up a bit, but there's a little bit more in depth about sort of why I enjoy, more specifically, doing the wildlife side of things. Essentially what I look for when I'm out and about. Obviously today I've got Big White with me. I've also got the Tough TG6, just in case. Give me a few more options, because this will do fantastic macro. Also do some wider shots, so we'll have a bit of a wander, and we'll have a chat as we're wandering around and see what sort of things we can find. But I'm hoping to get some quite nice bird shots today. So I suppose the first thing to start with is a little bit of history. I started out doing general photography back in the 80s on film, and it was sort of thing, if you want to do wildlife, especially with film, it's really prohibited, because everything costs too much, and the availability, like you got these days, buying stuff off the internet, just wasn't available. So everything was very specialised. It became something that, yeah, always liked sort of the wildlife side of things, is seeing the wildlife photographers, and it's only really sort of in the last probably 10 years that that's really become accessible to most people. As far as we've got sort of budget lenses go, you can get a lot for your money these days. Yes, if you want to chase the stupid amount of crystal clarity and stuff like that, you'd have to spend the money. I'm saying that, I've actually got Big White here, which is one of the stupidly expensive lenses, but you can start off fairly low down and still get some great wildlife images. The big thing to do is sort of not beat yourself up about, oh, it's not crystal pin sharp across absolutely everything, because a lot of the time you can actually work with that and make it a little bit better. But even something like this that we've got at the moment, literally from where we are here, a few birds on the water, you can get some lovely shots with that. It's nice and bright, so grab a couple of shots now, pop them up for you. As we were saying, you don't need to go stupid expensive to get some great results these days. Even the most basic of sort of lens setups can get you some quite interesting results. When I first switched over to Micro Four Thirds, I got an EM1 Mark II, which itself is a great camera, and I used the 75 to 300, which obviously in full frame terms is 150 to 600, which was the same setup essentially as I was running with the Sigma. That lens is great. Occasionally it became soft though. No real rhyme or reason to it, just occasionally you just got a soft image. It was fine. For the most part, even the soft image was pretty good. So yeah, that brought that sort of realm into it. I've basically worked my way up through the lens systems ever since. My still absolute favourite with the omsystem body has been the 300 f4. That is a beautiful lens. But when I had the chance for the Big White, yeah, something had to give, and I had to sort of trade in the 300 to actually get a bit of money back, because this thing's not cheap at all. So yeah, you don't have to sort of go out there all guns blazing, have the best gear, the best, spend as much as you possibly can, because a lot of it is going to be down to your eyes, what you can see, and just training things as you sort of go along. Now, where we are today, we've come fairly local. We're actually not out and about in the van for a change. Maybe it's me, we're actually building a new van, which you will see once that's ready. But just fairly local, up to Codner Park, and we know roughly sort of around here there's a chance of a kingfisher. There's normally plenty of robins around, lots of sort of wildfowl on the water. So yeah, you don't guarantee you'll get a few little shots off. But if we get really lucky, like I say, we'll see a kingfisher, and we'll get something out because it's nice and bright. It's ideal. It means you can actually sort of, yeah, get your shutter speed up, not really worry about ISO or anything like that. Absolutely perfect. But we're going to keep on wandering, get around to sort of the deeper end up by the canal, and we'll see what sort of things are around, and we'll have a chat to you about sort of how I sort of find the composition style as well that I like to go for. So we literally just come down the other side from the canal, and straight away spotted a kestrel. Just sort of landed the tree up there. Just got some lovely shots of him. Really pretty little bird. Seems to be sort of set on something else. So he's not really bothered by us. But we're just at a section now where there's quite a lot of the smaller birds. So I'm going to try and get a few shots off and sort of see what we get. Normally gets quite a few robins here. They're always good to shoot. All the stuff I do, it's all self-taught. It's not something I've sort of been on courses, but over time you sort of train your eye. Obviously I've been doing this for like a couple of decades, so you get the idea and sort of you feel what works right for you. What I do tend to do though is try and shoot wide open, especially with big white, 500mm f5.6. That's pretty wide. It gives you some nice depth of field, and I try and get it so there's a lovely depth between the bird and the background. That way you get this lovely sort of separation, so you've got the bird, a nice blurred background, a little bit of coloration, and I think that works quite nicely. The other thing you do have to keep in mind is your minimum focus distance on your lens. So if you're too close, you're not going to be able to focus anyway. So play the game and sort of essentially sort of practice and play until you get it right, so you sort of roughly know, right, I'm that far away, I'll be able to focus on that, and you can get those sort of shots. I mean, where we are now, to spin you around, there's a bit of a path there, and there's little feeders on these posts. That's a great way of practicing. So if you don't want to be out sort of tracking down birds in the woods and stuff like that, somewhere like this, there's birds everywhere. You can practice and train your eye, get used to sort of the feel of what it looks like through the lens, and basically then you'll be able to look at something and think, oh yeah, that will work. It just gives you that little bit of edge that you can sort of just pick the camera up, know that you're going to get a nice shot when you take it, and just go. Another quick tip as well, don't be afraid just to absolutely spray the air with it. You're not going to get every single shot that you take perfect, but if you take more shots, you get more that are in focus and are usable. We get 2 minutes up the canal towpath, kingfisher pops up, absolutely brilliant. Got a few shots, a little bit funny light because it's coming straight across him, so not perfect, but yeah, plenty good enough. Very happy with the shots. So I'm going to keep on wandering up here now. Apparently there might be another one, so we'll keep our eye open, but plenty of ducks along, probably find some coots, a lot of the smaller birds around as well, so we'll get a few more shots of that, and I'll have a chat to you a little bit more in depth about what my settings tend to be as well. So let's get a wandering and see what else crops up. So as far as settings go, for most of stuff like this, I run in aperture priority mode. My reason being, I want to control what aperture I'm running at, which is normally sort of as wide open as I can get. Couple that with the fact that you can just let the ISO sort itself out, and the shutter speed will sort itself out. For most things, that will cover you. Birds in flight, that's a bit different. I go to generally full manual, and I'll start with shutter speed at about 0.002 of a second. But again, I'll try and set it to auto ISO, so I don't need to worry about that side of it. And the aperture, I try and fix as open as I can. So it gives you a little bit more sort of depth on that side of things. Now a lot of people say, oh yeah, you can't shoot birds unless you're doing full manual. I found aperture priority for 90% of the time does a brilliant job. Because you're not constantly concentrating, oh I've got to do that, I've got to change that, I've got to alter that. Let it sort it out, and know that, you know, so even if it's a little bit noisy, you can pull that back in post and sort most of the stuff out. It's not a problem. You can even go crazy and use something like topaz, which frankly is like having a new lens. So as long as your bird's fairly well exposed, which is the key to it, it not be a problem. You can sort of get yourself set up with a nice looking image, maybe a little bit of noise in the background, let topaz sort itself out. It's not a problem at all. So yeah, well worth considering that side of it. But yeah, I'm going to keep on wandering around because apparently there's a couple of kingfishers been spotted, so we'll see if there's another one around. If not, we'll see what else is about. And another thing that a lot of people seem to get a bit too sort of hung up on is having camouflage clothing and blending in with the background. What I've found over the years is you can be dressed like I am now, very brightly, and if you stay still, the birds won't bother. They'll still turn up and you'll still be able to get some great shots. Being dressed like a crazy camouflage ninja is not going to help you at all. A lot of it is all based on movement and essentially not disturbing them. We tend to find a lot of the time that you'll see people out and about and they're super dressed, really sort of camouflaged in with the background, and there's like a stealthy look moving around and that, and the birds can still see that. It doesn't make a difference. As long as you're still, quiet, and just essentially just become part of the background, the birds won't bother and they'll come down to you. It's just a case of patience, but it works. You don't have to go out and spend thousands on gear just to disappear into the background, because it won't help you. So yeah, something that well worth bearing in mind anyway. But we see so many of it. You've got to spend so much on sort of camouflage clothing and stuff like that. Stay dark, blend in. Yeah, makes no difference at all. So let's say you want to get started in things. Really, there's two things you're going to need. You need a camera that has enough power in it to actually sort of do some fairly high speed shooting, if that's the sort of thing you want to do. For me, the minimum on Mark IV would be an EM1 Mark II, maybe a Mark III because it has got a little bit more to it. Lens wise, like I say, you can get the 75-300, which is an okay lens. It's not bad to get you started. I wouldn't really go much lower than that. Yes, you can use a 40-150, but you've got to think about your distancing. Once you've actually figured that side of things out, it's fairly straightforward to sort of start honing your skills, and you can move up as you go along, which is basically what I've done. And it gives you a great sense of well-being actually. When you're out, you get some nice shots of the wildlife and you can look back at it and think, well, yeah, I did that, that's quite nice. The other thing that I do tend to sort of say to people as well, if you're just getting started into it, don't get hung up on having perfect shots all the time. You're not going to get it. It's impossible. I've took about 300 shots so far today. Out of that, I'll maybe get 10 good ones. That's your hit ratio. You've got to sort of get your head around. Take as many shots as you can, because out of those, you get more keepers. And you've got to look at that side of it. I mean, as far as sort of splashing cash goes, let's say a basic setup. EM1 Mark III, 75-300. I'm going to look at the prices. I'll put them up here. That'll be your first setup. These are prices of MPB, just taken now. That sort of thing you're looking at, that'll get you going, and then you can start moving on. You don't have to go for Mark IV thirds. This is just what I use. So that's my sort of way of doing things. Obviously, I started off on Canon, started off on crop, then went to full frame. You've got to consider as well, if you go for a crop sensor camera or Mark IV thirds, you'll get closer images without worrying about sort of having to get bigger lenses. The bigger your sensor size, the bigger lens you've got to get the distance. That's something to consider. The other thing that I do try and tell people as well, because you've got a big lens, you've got a big range, don't think that you can get something that's like 2 miles away and get it in crystal clear clarity. Work with your limitations. If you can get it as close as you can with the background farther away, you'll get much better shots, and you'll be more pleased with the results that you're getting. And there's a quick demonstration as to why you shouldn't push too far. That is probably getting off for about 100 meters away. As you can see, you're not going to get any detail from that, so getting closer really does help. So yeah, that's been a bit of an insight of why I enjoy the wildlife side of things, and a little bit of a hint and tip session to get you going with it. Probably we're stood here at the moment just watching the kingfisher. If there's two types of birds I really do enjoy shooting, it's the kingfisher and the birds of prey. I've seen both of those today, a really good session. And you don't need to go out and pay a fortune on these sort of baited hides so you get all these perfect shots that look very good. This is a free spot. We go here, well, I've not been for a couple of years, but yeah, it's free. You can go there, just walk around with your camera, get a few shots off and really enjoy your day. As far as sort of places, look what's local to you, nature reserves, places like that. A lot of them are free to access, so it's not really sort of an expensive hobby to sort of get into, but definitely well worthwhile. The sense of well-being when you get some really nice shots is great. It really sort of lifts the mood. Great, just what you need, especially these days with sort of the sort of state of the world that we're in. It's nice to just get a break away from things and just enjoy it. So yeah, that's what I do, and that's really the key to why I do this. It just helps out no end. But we've got a few more shots to wander back down. We've quite a few kingfisher shots out of this one, I think, today. But yeah, if you've enjoyed the video, it's been useful to you, please hit the like button. And if you liked it a lot, hit subscribe. See more of this stuff every week from me. But from a very bright, quite chilly, but absolutely fantastic Codnor Park in Derbyshire, thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time. Take care.
You ever wonder if days like these last with one another, with the feeling pass? Would you find out with me if it all starts to crumble? We'll search the pieces for a hope or a mumble. It's not for me to decide if I should be the one by your side, and hope we know when it's better to say goodbye. You ever wonder if we know what's best for one another? Are we just another project? We're both fixer-uppers